remember when I was at uni, I was out at the Freshers Week, and there was like some guy who was like, I've never kissed a black girl before. And I was like, okay, like, we're not some rare species that...
Or animals.
Yeah, like, we don't exist in
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a bit weird. But that's definitely happened. Like, oh, I like my girls thick and round, and it's very much like about the body type or the kinds of things they think you are going to have, or the things they think you're going to provide because of a stereotype. So yeah, I've definitely been through fetishization.
Sorry, by the way, there's a fly in the studio. So if you see us swatting and that sort of stuff, that's why. When you get told, like, you know, I've never been with a black girl before, I've never had this experience, how does that make you feel?
It just turns me off. It's like, I don't really know why you would think it's a turn on for me to hear that. Like, I'm not William the Conqueror. I'm not trying to conquer this. Like, that's not for me. If especially at this age, I think if that's the first time you've ever been with a black person, I'm skeptical of you, because, like, why? Like, if you've lived in London for a really long time, like, how is it that you've never been with a black person? We're everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a bit weird to me.
Have you ever had because there's something else I want to touch on after this, but have you ever had the experience where you're with a white guy, for example, and it's going really well, but they're like, yeah, but I wouldn't be able to bring you home, or because, you know, my nan wouldn't like you, or my mum would have some sort of like...
No, what it is my dad is mixed race, and my mum's black, and my sister is actually married to a white guy.
Right.
So we've got a quite diverse, I say diverse, but it's like diverse in black and white family. So I don't think they'd feel some kind of way if I brought home a white man.
But have you ever had the experience with a white guy saying to you,
oh,
you know, we can hang out, but like, it'll be a different story if I brought you home?
I don't date white men. So...
Okay, that's another interesting... So why don't you date white guys?
What if I have a child with a white man, and then my child turns out like Prince Harry's children? Like,
oh, what do you mean, like ridiculed and that sort of thing?
No, like really light skin, like they like white passing.
Okay.
So, and I know for me, like, I'm, like I said before, like, I'm the lightest in my family.
Yeah.
So I've always had this thing of people thinking I was mixed, or thinking I've got a white parent.
Yeah.
And that people treat you differently. And seeing people treat me the way they treat me, and then see the way they treat my sister, I'm like, I don't ever want them to experience that. I want them to have like a genuine, not I say genuine, but like, what do I mean? I mean, like, I just want black children.
Right, okay. No, that's really, really interesting. Like, I didn't think this conversation was going to take that turn, but let's go for it. So if you had a child and they turned out to be your complexion, so your skin colour, how would that make you feel?
I'd be okay with it. I think I'd be okay with it, because it's like me, you know. But I think I kind of want their blackness to be more... what's the word?
More prevalent. So like, you want them to have like the nose, the lips,
to
that
not
sort of
be
thing.
questioned about their blackness, really.
Okay.
So I think that's what I'm like, I don't really want their blackness to be questioned, or to be, because people call me exotic, and like, I'm like, I'm just like a quarter white, but because of the color of my skin, I'm not seen as that by... I'd say like, black people know I'm black, but then if you're not, then they're gonna be like, oh, you're so exotic, or you come from wherever, and I'm... Yeah.
Do you like the colour of your skin?
I do.
Yeah.
I didn't used to.
Oh, really?
I didn't used to.
Why didn't you used to? Is it because your family were all darker? Or?
Yeah, it's because my family were all darker, but then I'm lighter, and I mean, family issues, and I have a white grandma. And so I'd say like, there's a lot of like, because colorism is so prevalent, and like, even within families...
Is your family Caribbean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I was definitely favoured as a kid. And growing up, I was like, oh, I felt so uncomfortable, but didn't know the reason why. And now I understand, oh, it's because of colorism. Like, I felt not necessarily... I was treated differently by certain people in my family, and I didn't like that. So it made me feel like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable in my own self. But now I understand, oh, it's because colorism exists, and because that's why they treat me that way, because they're low-key racist,
Yeah, well,
unfortunately.
I can relate to that. Like, so there's 6 grandchildren in my family, and I'm the only one that's fully black. So the
Oh,
other 5 are all mixed race,
see.
including my brother. And one of my cousins had a baby, and that baby has blonde hair and green eyes.
Oh, okay.
And my nan was like, "Oh, she's got blonde hair and green eyes." Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was some
Yeah.
sort of like prize. Like, it was like, what, you know, would you have felt the same way if it was my color and with my
Yeah.
eyes? So it sounds like you've gone through that as well.
Yeah, but the opposite way of
Yeah.
like, because I've seen it with my family. It's like, ooh, that makes me uncomfortable to now know that's the reason that you're treating people differently. Like,
Yeah.
that's not really okay. And then I don't mean to like, oh, the plight of a light skinned girl. I don't mean to do that or anything, but it is like, it is a bit of a like inner turmoil to say, to see that kind of happening and being like, I'm being treated differently from the rest of my family. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?